Hey, what is up guys, and welcome back to the channel. So this here is probably one of the most legendary, vehicles from any type of motorsport of all time. This is the McLaren MP4-4 from 2008, driven by Ayrton Senna and Alain Prost. So it's got the pedigree. It's a purebred race car. It looks absolutely amazing. It sounds amazing. But what is it really like in Gran Turismo 7? But before we find that out, this car is 8 million credits from the legendary dealership. Now, I don't get why it's that much when stuff like the Pikes Peak were around about 1.6 or something like that. So this is the most expensive, in terms of the add-on cars that we've had so far. A little bit on the pricier side, so just be, well aware that it is going to set you back a lot of credits. So this car is perhaps one of the most beloved cars in terms of Formula One ever. It's up there with the likes of like the F2004 or some of the the 2013 Red Bull. Then you've obviously got the more modern Mercedes, probably the 2016 and 2020 ones being some of the most dominant cars to ever grace Formula One. Absolutely taking those seasons by storm. And while this was probably one of the more original ones to do it, it's just so dominant at the time. I believe it won 15 out of 16 races. So it was absolutely crazy just how insanely dominant this car was for its time. And it took a long time for cars to even really match that kind of dominance again. What makes this car even more loved is the fact that obviously the late great Ayrton Senna took the championship, took the title in this car, dominated the whole season alongside obviously his teammate Alain Prost. Obviously they had a bit of a up and down relationship through Formula One, especially I believe in like 1990 and the years previous where they were just taking each other out. So yeah, I mean, definitely brings back probably a lot of memories for older F1 fans. Me personally, I wasn't around in that time. Obviously I've looked into the history and stuff over the years because I'm a huge Formula One fan, so I can just understand why this car was so good. And sort of looking at the footage of it on YouTube, ripping up Monaco and stuff like that, just kind of shows you really what this car is about. And it's it's an absolute brute. Now you're going to see when it comes to this gameplay, Gran Turismo's actually got gives you that feeling that this car is very fast, but you are constantly on the edge. So a single tire on the grass or the tiniest little mistake going into a corner and it will cost you, and it will cost you big. And that's what this car's all about. These weren't easy cars to drive. They were just complete brutes, putting out stupid amount of horsepower to the rear wheels. The downforce compared to today's car just isn't as insane. Obviously they are still very downforce dependent, but again, it just kind of shows you just how brutish these cars were, and that they were just constantly on the edge. And it was sort of like riding a bull. You've got to try and grab it by the horns and try and reel it in. Like, this thing ain't going to give you an easy ride. And I feel like honestly Polyphony and Gran Turismo, they've done an excellent job kind of getting that across. So the typical kind of high speed fast corners, you are going to hit them at full throttle. There's going to be no such lifting when it comes to this car. However, I noticed in the more low speed ones, when the downforce isn't generating as high, that you can expect a couple of twitches of that rear end, and it is quite a bit of a handful to really get going again. So obviously losing downforce is an absolute nightmare, especially at the ring where there's quite a few really sort of, you'll come off a fast section and then have to hit some much slower corners, and that's when you're kind of at risk of sort of spinning the car around. So it's not an easy car to master. As you can see, it bottoms out there, but we keep it going. So another thing as well, during this run I did actually have quite a big off into the barrier, but I kind of wanted to keep that in purely to just show off just what this car's like, just show you how on edge it is. Like, the slightest mistake will genuinely throw you in the wall. But when it comes to drivability of this car, pure pace, like, yes, it is very fast, and for me it's a worthy addition to Gran Turismo, even if it is on the very pricey side. But my main concern for this car, as legendary as it is, from a game standpoint, where does it really fit in? Where are we going to be able to use this car? You know, it's very expensive. You know, are we going to be able to kind of, you know, maybe lower the PP like we kind of, you know, can do with the other sort of, you know, fantasy Gran Turismo F1 car? Or is it going to kind of just be there as sort of a showpiece kind of thing? Are they going to do online races with it? You know, maybe into Lagos, something like that. I'm just kind of unsure at, you know, this current time where this car is going to really fit in, other than sort of just putting laps in, or kind of, you know, going in overpowered against like an open championship or something like that. So yeah, it's going to be kind of weird to see really where this car will fit in the long term. I'm hoping they do find a place for it. That's why I'm kind of surprised there isn't a cafe menu for it, or, you know, for these kind of cars, you know, an open wheel one where you know, you could probably use the other one as well and kind of have them battling. It would have been nice to see. So I don't know, it's just strange from a game standpoint, you know, where this car will really sort of shine. And it's kind of sad really, because I really do, you know, want this car to do well in this game and bring players back and give people joy. Even with it being on the pricey side, we want to be able to kind of, you know, not necessarily earn the money back, but get our money's worth from it. And I'd say that is the only real downside of this car. But performance wise, really, there's just no complaints. You know, it's a very on edge ride. It's enjoyable, it's fast, it's fun. But obviously, you know, you've got to keep on your toes, because this car does want to basically throw you in a barrier. So yeah, I mean, genuinely a great car to drive, really, really fast. And yeah, like I said, a worthy addition. I just hope Polyphony find a place for it. So instead of the standard onboard, I wanted to go to Interlagos with the full helmet and, you know, race suit on in this car, and basically get an onboard shot. So, you know, listen to this. Okay, so in terms of time, we did a 5 minutes 48.015, which is a very, very fast lap. I do feel like that little mistake probably cost me a couple of seconds. I'd say probably like 2 or 3 seconds. So I don't see why you wouldn't be able to do sort of like a 5:45 using that car. Maybe even kind of less than that, maybe even the early 5:40s, if you get the perfect run in. So in terms of where this puts that car, well, it's put it 5th on our overall leaderboard, just below the Audi R18 from 2016. But I do believe this car would have been at least on par with that had we have not had that mistake. However, it is beaten by the likes of a modern day super formula car. But, you know, it doesn't kind of take away from what this car is. It's a legendary car. I absolutely just love the thing. So now the verdict. Should you realistically go and buy this car? I feel like if you're a massive Formula 1 fan, or you love your motor racing history, there's no reason why you wouldn't get those credits and, you know, spend 8 million on it like I did. If you're kind of looking for a car that's very usable and has a lot of potential to be used within the game, then I don't think this car is really necessarily for you. I feel like it's definitely for more, you know, pure motorsport fans and Formula 1 fans to really, you know, appreciate. But I do feel like it's going to be a bit of maybe a garage queen, coming out to do the odd laps. So who knows? I hope it really does find a place in Gran Turismo 7. But that is going to be it for today. Don't forget to like, comment and subscribe. Donation links are in the bio below. Feel free to join channel membership, all that good stuff. Thank you so much for your support. I'll see you later, guys. Peace.